New images this morning from the Glen Haven Area Volunteer Fire Department battling a new wildfire on Monday. There are evacuations mandatory this morning because of a fire burning between Estes Park and Drake. This started off Soulshine Road Monday afternoon, just south of Highway 34. It's burned about 23 acres. It's really 3 small fires, and firefighters seem to have a handle on each of them. This whole thing is just burning along the forest floor this morning. It's not crowning or running.
And in our headlines this morning, some progress on the NCAR fire. That's the one that started Saturday in Boulder, forced about 19,000 people out of their homes. That fire is now 68% contained, about double the containment that we had yesterday morning. The fire hasn't grown much since yesterday either, still about 190 acres burned. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office says it is still investigating the cause of that fire.
Today, Boulder County is expected to share the schedule for debris removal in the burn area. The county and the contractor will walk people through their plan to clean up properties. They finally signed the contract last week after working through appeals by other companies. The lawsuit over how they picked the contractor is still going on, but a judge said it wouldn't get in the way of cleanup. Coloradans have raised more than $38 million to support Marshall Fire survivors. Yeah,
the foundation managing the Boulder County Wildfire Fund says most of that money hasn't gone out yet and will be used by people to rebuild.
The Community Foundation, Boulder County, says it has distributed more than $8 million so far. The foundation says 90% of households affected by the fire have received money. They're planning $1 million to pay for smoke and ash cleanup, another $1 million to help people deal with legal and logistical issues with rebuilding. $2 million will cover debris removal costs for the underinsured. The biggest chunk of this, up to $20 million, will help families rebuild their homes in whatever way they seem fit. The foundation CEO did advise people who received funds through a GoFundMe campaign to consult a tax attorney about potential taxes due. As we've learned, GoFundMe is a for-profit company, so that could be the case. Also, full disclosure, 9 News viewers raised more than $2 million for the Boulder County Wildfire Fund through Next with Kyle Clark's Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign.
Today, the Douglas County School Board is expected to approve the new superintendent's contract. It was just a week ago the board named Aaron Kane as the sole finalist for the role. Left vacant after the former superintendent Corey Wise was fired. That was controversial. He was fired without cause. The board was split 4-3, the 4 votes in favor coming from the conservative majority. Kane is the executive director for the American Academy. That's a charter school in the district. She also served as the interim superintendent back in 2016. We have confirmed that Kane was asked if she would consider applying for the job ahead of Corey Wise's firing. Right now, there is a pending lawsuit of the possible violation of Colorado's open meetings law in that firing decision. Tonight's meeting begins at 5 o'clock.
Also today, Pomona High School students plan to stage a walkout over reductions in full-time music staffing. The school maintains that there is a space in music classes for every student who wants to be there, for every student who requested a class for the upcoming school year. The school plans to partner with security and local law enforcement today just to keep any student who wants to walk out safe, though the school does not condone the protest.
All right, it's 6:07 right now. We're going to some breaking news. Sky 9 is over a reported double shooting in Aurora. This is off of Archer Place. As you can see, it's a very active scene right now. A lot of police there on scene. Again, this is very preliminary information that we just got into the newsroom. Sky 9 is over the area. We're working to get some more information. Once we do, we will pass it along. An angry response from the Denver Police Union in reaction to Friday's $14 million federal civil judgment against the Denver Police Department. Late Friday afternoon, a jury ruled in favor of all 12 people who sued and awarded them a total of $14 million. During the 3-week-long trial, the plaintiffs said they were protesting peacefully against police brutality and did nothing to deserve being sprayed with tear gas and shot with pepper balls by police. Monday, the head of the police union said more than 70 officers were injured during those demonstrations, and then defended their integrity, courage, and bravery.
If the men and women of the Denver Police Department had not held the line for those 5 days, there would not have been a downtown Denver.
In response to the statement from the union, the legal director of the ACLU of Colorado said he was disappointed that the union president was essentially denying the validity of the verdict. The ACLU represented 7 of the 12 plaintiffs in the federal civil case.
Want to show you some new drone footage this morning, giving a new look at damaged equipment and buildings as the war on Ukraine continues. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he's willing to discuss his country's neutrality in order to end the war, quote, without delay. Peace talks are set to continue today in Turkey. President Joe Biden has doubled down, saying he stands by his remarks he made over the weekend, interpreted by many as a call for a regime change in Russia. Biden said President Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power, although Secretary of State Antony Blinken was among the U.S. officials to try to kind of pull back and clarify this statement. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says he's asked an official to explore a humanitarian ceasefire in Ukraine. There have been agreements for humanitarian corridors, but relief efforts for some areas have been disrupted by shelling. The mayor of Mariupol is calling for complete evacuation of all residents, but said routes out of the besieged southeastern port city had come largely under the control of Russian forces. CU's former visiting conservative scholar must give his emails to the House committee investigating the insurrection. Attorney-client communications are usually privileged unless you're committing a crime.
And a federal judge has ruled that the plan John Eastman drew up to keep President Trump in power was obviously illegal. Eastman wrote the memo outlining how Republicans could stage a coup and keep the president in power even though he lost the election. The panel subpoenaed his records, including his emails from the time working with Trump to overthrow the election. He was not with CU Boulder when that was written, however. He was at Chapman University in California. It is important to note that this ruling was made in a civil case where the burden of proof is much lower than in a criminal case.
COVID cases in Colorado have ticked up slightly while remaining well below the mark where public health experts say the virus is spreading wildly in the community. The average number of tests coming back positive is at 3.3% right now. It was at 2.5% about a week ago. Public health experts consider the virus under control with an average positivity below 5%. Some national outlets have labeled Colorado as a COVID hotspot with high and rising case rates. The state health department says those numbers are wrong because the CDC is reporting them incorrectly by including outdated cases. The state health department is now asking the CDC to change the way that they count cases. Coloradans continue to get COVID vaccines. CDPHE says at least 2 million people in Colorado have gotten a third shot. Less than 1 million remain unvaccinated. The state has been phasing out some state-run vaccination sites in recent weeks. Tri-County Health says it's doing the same by the end of this week.